Welcome to the Week 2 training tape put out by the Iowa High School Athletic Association. My name is Monte Tilgner, and I'll be taking you through the plays. We have 14 plays to look at this week. Remember, these plays are not to put any negative spin on any officials or any players. They're just to help us learn and improve in our officiating. So let's go ahead and get started. First three plays here, we're going to talk about mechanics with respect to the goal line. So going in, our mechanics relative to the goal line start at the 10-yard line. So when we get to the 10-yard line, we want the officials to slowly flow towards the goal line, and we want to definitely beat any player to the goal line, any runner to the goal line. So in this play, you can see we're snapping from the 10. We've got the line to gain. It looks like at the 7-yard line. So it's 3rd and 3. So if we have the line to gain in between us and the goal line, then what we're going to do is we're going to slightly delay at that line to gain. That's kind of our first money line. But then it's really important that we release to the goal line. So once we know or are pretty certain that runner is definitely going to make that line to gain, we want to continue hard to that goal line and make sure we're there. If they don't make it, we just simply go back from there. So and square that off and get that spot. So let's take a look at this play. So at the snap, right now we want to slowly be drifting. You can see we do a good job there. We kind of hesitate at the line to gain. That's good. And then we continue to the goal line. Just go a little harder when you decide to go to that goal line. After hesitating here at the line to gain, right about now, we should be going hard and get to that goal line and just be waiting for that guy. And then if we don't make it to the end zone, then we just come back and square it off. Changes when we get to the 5. When we get to the 5 and in, immediately at the snap, both officials, both the line judge and the head line judge, will immediately and quickly go to the goal line. So let's take a look at this play. Got our snap, and you can see our official does a pretty good job. He gets there in plenty of time. So he's going right away, and then he hustles and gets there. The one thing I would suggest is as you're going back from that 5 to the goal line, work yourself back at an angle and end up back here like at this limit line, which is actually about 4 yards off of the sideline. And what that will do is it will give you a lot better perspective, especially if the runner ends up coming out and threatening that pylon. So if you get all the way back here, all you got to do is look straight down that line, and you don't have to worry about backpedaling. You know, if they get there, you can stay right on that line and make a good ruling from there. So good job by this official, but if we back up and are not right on top of that pylon, so now he's backing up. And if we start out back there, then we don't have to worry about backing up, and our head can stay still that entire time. So reverse goal line mechanics. So on this play, we're snapping the ball at the 3, and here's our guidelines on reverse goal line mechanics. First of all, for snapping it from the 10, the line judge will hold the line of scrimmage. The H will start back at the snap and read the play. And it's important that the H is at the goal line if that goal line is threatened for a possible safety. If we're snapped at the 5, the H will immediately go all the way to the goal line at the snap. The L will read and react, and he will go back if his side is threatened. And if we're snapped in or at or inside the 3, both the H and the L will go back immediately. So remember, the L is the one that holds the line. The L or the H will release at the 10 and make sure he reads the play and beats it back to the goal line if need be. At the 5, the H will go immediately. The L will read and react, but has to get back if his side is threatened. At the 3, they both will go back immediately. So we can see on this play, our official here at the top of the screen does a nice job of going back. The only thing I would say is like I stated before, start out with your, in this case, start out back at that, at the back of the white. And then as you take a step or two back, go back even further and end up back at that limit line. And if you got a guy with the chains there with the box, clear them out, have them be standing on the other side, and make sure that they're getting out of your way if need be. we did a good job of getting to the goal line there, and then we come back when we see that play progresses. So good mechanics on that play. Okay, so we've got I had a few issues that we've had brought to our attention with penalty enforcement on kind of our new rule. But so let's just go through penalty enforcement on an offensive holding that occurs beyond the line of scrimmage, and the run also ends beyond the line of scrimmage. And let's also talk about increasing our threshold for what is an offensive hold. So on this play, you can see we come out, and first thing is right now, remember we've talked about this, is as soon as you have a quick pitch, a sweep, or a quick pass that comes at you as a line of scrimmage official, immediately get yourself 3 to 4 feet or yards into the offensive backfield, open up, and then you can watch blocks a lot more effectively. In this case, our line judge ends up just holding the line, and then he ends up kind of running, side by side with that runner. We want to be, 4, 5, 6 yards behind where the runner is, so we have an angle to be able to look out and watch blocks out in front. So in this case right now, if we're back here where this arrow is, we're going to be, we know this is a block we're going to be watching. We know our back judge is going to be working inside out, and he would have that block, or potentially this block on that receiver, or that DB. So right now, again, still be back here, and it makes just for a lot better angle for you to be able to see. Our line judge then would be focused on this block, our back judge would be focused on this block, and we know that our umpire is kind of cleaning up stuff here. Our referee is going to be working to the front side. He might be checking out the action right here as he's coming across. So I want to go back and take a look at what we had called on this play, which was a holding call. So I'm going to go in slow motion now. And this is our player that our back judge is going to throw for a hold. And just remember, just because a player throws his hands up in the air does not mean he's getting held. So right now, he's got a hold of him maybe, but he's not restricting him in any way. And I'm going to play this in normal speed a couple times, and then we'll come back and go in slow motion. So you can see that he really doesn't restrict him ever. He's just running with him. He's just driving him. He's not, that guy's, his feet aren't getting stuck. We don't have a dip of the shoulder or anything like that. So if I go back now and put this in to slow motion, we can take a look a little better. He's just driving him. And right now, the defender, he's still getting driven. He's nothing happening. He just throws his hands up in the air like, oh, look, I'm getting held. Well, that doesn't mean he's getting held. There's just no restriction there. So we would not want offensive holding called on this play. We need a bigger threshold for an offensive hold. Remember, we're looking for a shoulder dip. We're looking for taking the feet away when we're talking out in the open field. In close line play, we're looking for those things, that big grab and restrict, and a lot of times a takedown. But in this play, let's just look at the end result here. We end up with our player in bounds, and we're down at the 43-yard line, 42, 43-yard line. Our hold, if we had a hold, let's just say we had enough for a hold. Our hold would be, let's say at the 47. Okay, so we have our hold at the 47, and we would have our end of the run at the 43. And if that's the case, if our flag does not get where we want it to be, that's a pretty good spot on that flag. But let's say our flag ended up, here at the 45, we would want to move our flag, because in this case, we got the end of the run beyond the line of scrimmage, and we've got our foul also beyond the line of scrimmage, but behind the end of the run. Therefore, we've got our all but one principle, which is foul by the offense. That occurs behind the basic spot, which is what we have here. Our basic spot being the end of the run, and our foul behind that. So we would enforce this from the spot of the fouls. That's why we need to move our flag if our flag is not in the right spot. Okay? Now let's change this up a little bit. Let's say that our end of the run is our our hold occurred at the 47, but let's say our end of the run occurred right here. Our guy got tackled here, and our flag ends up here. Okay, so now we've got our end of the run, our foul. So they both are beyond the line of scrimmage, previous line of scrimmage, and therefore, again, our end of the run would be our basic spot. And in this case, our foul is by the team possession in front or ahead of that basic spot. So we're going to enforce it from the basic spot. We would enforce it from the 50. All right. And then let's change it up again. And let's talk about if we had that hold. Let's say we had a hold by number 76. Let's say our hold occurs right here. All right. So we are behind the line of scrimmage. And then we have our run continues. And so if our foul is behind the line of scrimmage, then we know with our new rule this year, we would be enforcing that from the previous spot. And remember, previous spot means ball position as well as yard line. So we're snapping from position 5. Remember, this is position 1, position 2, position 3 in the middle. Position 4 is opposite press box on the upright. Position 5 is hash opposite press box. So if we had a hold behind the line of scrimmage and we're enforcing that from the previous spot, we would enforce it from position 5. In the case of this play, what we have is if we did have this hold called on this play and everything was as is, end of the run here, the hold occurred here, we would enforce from the spot of the foul. Spot of the foul means the yard line, the 48. And we're going to go back 10, and we're going to go from position 1 in this case because our flag is outside of position 1. All right. So work on increasing the threshold of our holding fouls, making sure it has a restriction. Don't let a player talk you into it by throwing his hands up in the air. Next play, we've got a really good one to talk about, roughing the passer. So first of all, remember, roughing the passer will be a 15-yard foul from the previous spot if we have an incomplete pass or if the end of our run ends up behind the previous spot. But if we have a completed pass, we're going to enforce it from the end of the last run if there's no change in team possession. So let's take a look at this play here. We've got a guy that comes in, and this is the judgment we need is, is he blocked into the passer or not? In this case, he's not blocked into the passer. So we do have a correct call for roughing, and we'll talk about that because you might be looking at this and you're saying, well, he hit the quarterback low. And in college, yeah, we have a rule on hitting the quarterback low. But in high school, we do not. That is true. We do not have a rule for an automatic foul for roughing the passer for hitting a quarterback low. But what we do have is a rule that states that a quarterback should not be hit unnecessarily, according to, I think it's Rule 10.4, if I remember right. And that's where or 9.4, where we're talking about illegal personal contact against the passer. So this would be a foul for roughing the passer. And do not say roughing the passer, low hit on the quarterback. Just say personal foul, roughing the passer, whatever the number is. And in this case, we have an incomplete pass. So we're going to go 15 yards from the previous spot. We're going to be snapping from position 1 when we go from the 21 to the 31, 36 yard line. And we would be on the snap. Okay. So those are the things you have to think about on this particular play. Now, if they go into the quarterback low and wrap up, then that's different than this forcible contact that we had there. Then we do not have that personal foul, and we would be okay with no foul. All right, the next couple plays are going to deal with contact against a receiver. So this first one here, we have a personal foul for forcible contact against a defenseless receiver. Remember, he's in this case, he's not become a runner yet. Once he becomes a runner, then we do not have this particular foul. And this is a forcible contact, and he does not wrap up. And let's just take a look here at this one. What I like about this, again, we're trying to encourage crews to send in plays to the state or myself, and this play was sent in, and this one was sent to me, I believe, and this was comments by the crew. And remember, we want to encourage you to do your own crew evaluation of your games and use those for pregame and postgame discussion on plays. And in this particular one, this is the note that they had in there themselves as a crew. Comment is, I think we should have a personal foul for a hit at an offensive player, not targeting. Why? The receiver had not had a chance to become a runner yet. Contact is forcible. It is not with open hands, does not wrap up. And they said the good news is we discussed it. The bad news is they came to the wrong conclusion. They did not throw a flag because they were focused on the targeting aspect, and we did not have targeting. So run it through full speed first. Again, we're looking for that guy coming across at a harder angle. So we got our linebacker coming across here, coming straight at that guy, and that definitely would be forcible contact. It's not targeting. Okay, he is a defensive player, but you can see on the contact there, we've got a turn and we've got a shoulder to the chest. Okay, but it does meet the requirement for forcible contact to a defenseless player, in this case, receiver, and that would be a 15-yard personal foul. Okay, this is one that, again, this is one that we did get a flag on, which is great. Same type of situation, personal foul, unnecessary roughness for a hit against a defenseless receiver. And we take a look here. So we have a dropped ball, and then we have that contact by our receiver or by our defender. Okay, and this one, he knows this pass, or right now he knows this pass is incomplete. He's 5 yards away. Okay, that's way too much. He does not have to hit him like that. So that is flagged correctly and properly for defenseless hit against a receiver. Personal foul. All right, on this one, we've got, again, anytime we have these open field situation, punt plays, kick plays, interceptions, fumbles, and returns, and so on, we need to be looking for blindside blocks. They occur most commonly on punts and kickoffs. So on this one, again, talking about our kickoff mechanics, we've got an 8-man here game. So our 8-man game here, so our 40-yard line is our midfield, and our umpires at the midfield. And I did watch later, and this crew did mechanically were correct with our back judge coming in at the angle and our umpire coming in at the angle. This particular one, this ball is kicked short. In that case, we're not going to leave the sideline. We're going to stay, and these guys do that. However, our umpire sees that this ball looks like it's going to go out of bounds, so he, follows the ball. And as a result, he's one official that might be able to help us out with this blindside block here. So let's just go through and take a look. Right now, we need to look at who can blindside block. We already had one that didn't happen here. That's not going to be a blindside block. It's going to be head on. This is our potential blindside block here. And you can see if I go in slow motion, that's what we have right there. Okay, that is 100% forcible contact, blindside block. Okay, one that we need to get. And if our umpire, since this ball was kicked short, if our umpire was just stayed right here and pivoted, and if this ball is going to go out of bounds more than 15 yards downfield, 15 yards or more downfield, which it did, let our line of scrimmage official coming up the field, let him be the one who takes this kickoff out of bounds. Okay? And I think we would get that if we did this. So if we're holding our position right here, then we might be able to see this guy. But if we don't, we still should have several other officials. Right now, you can see, he's got a brick in the hand. He's going right there. Okay, so other officials, what are we looking at? Our referee. No reason for you to look for the ball to go out of bounds. Okay, so what's the next action you're looking for is up in here, and if you see this guy going against the grain, then that's your focus. Okay, our backside officials definitely can be seeing this. So as you're coming up the field, you see this guy going that way. what you're looking at anything on this, but there's no threat to foul or be fouled except for this action right here. So this could be seen by any really of these three officials, primarily these two. But if our umpire is staying here and knowing that our line of scrimmage guy is going to take that, then he'll probably pick it up. But that's one that we definitely want to get. Okay, those are fouls that kids end up getting hurt on, and they get sent into the state because we got guys who are getting injured, or we got these big blindside blocks that are not getting seen. So widen your vision, and we can get these. All right, this next one here, we've got a low block by the defense. Remember, the only players that can block low are on the line of scrimmage against other players who are on line of scrimmage at the snap. The ball must be in the zone. It must be an immediate initial action after the snap. And this is a low block by a linebacker. There's no way a linebacker who's a yard or 2 or 3 off the line of scrimmage can block low. So let's just take a look at this one. This comes back, this is 2-3 yards in the backfield, defensive backfield. So this is one that our umpire should focus on and should pick up. If this occurs in the offensive backfield, then we would expect our referee to have this. Okay, but downfield, a couple yards, probably a better shot that our umpire is going to pick that up. Okay, so just make sure we understand our low blocking responsibilities. Now, this is an interesting play that, again, was sent in by an official, and it's just a really good play to talk about. We have a good block against a receiver, not a foul. And the whole key is a defensive back can block a receiver until he is no longer a potential blocker. When he's no longer a potential blocker, I'll just run this through once. When he's no longer a potential blocker is when he is on the same yard line, has made a cut, and he's on the same yard line. In this case, you can see this receiver come straight forward. He's definitely a potential blocker, and he just is a little off balance probably and just gets drilled by this guy. But we have no foul here. We do not have hands to the face. We do not have a high block. He just knocks him on his butt. And he's still a potential blocker. He hasn't made his cut on the same yard line. So we should not have a flag here. We don't have, this does not fit in any category. This is not personal foul, unnecessary roughness. It's just a hard block against a receiver who is, potential blocker yet. So what we have called here is we get a flag initially by our wing, and then we get a flag by our umpire. So remember, just if we do not see all the action, we definitely cannot flag it. So our umpire here, you can see he's still looking at a center guard, and then he sees this guy on the ground, catches the end of it. And if we catch the end of it, we just can't flag it. We don't know for sure what happened. But this is one that is not a foul. Now, if he goes high, we could have a foul. We can't have DPI. The ball's not in the air. We also can't have defensive holding because he's not holding him. He hits him. So this is a good play to look at and a good one to understand that we have no foul on this play. Coaches might be upset, but there's just nothing. We don't have anything. So good one to discuss as a crew. When could we have something that is a foul? But in this case, we do not. All right, next, that's the same one there. Okay, next one here, just a really good punt mechanics on this play by our back judge and our line judge. So first of all, remember, our line judge is going to release hard at the snap, which he does. Wasn't trying to draw an arrow there. Our headline judge is going to release as the ball is kicked, and he released a little early. That's okay. He's keeping an eye on it, make sure that ball's kicked. But let's just take a look. Here we got our snap. There's our line judge going hard. There's our headline judge going hard. And we have a very good decision by both our back judge and our line judge on this play. They're both looking where they should be at this point of attack block. Now that we've got a catch, our back judge is in good position at a good angle here. Remember, we want you to be 5 to 7 wide, 5 to 7 deep. So perfect angle for him to be able to watch this catch, no catch. And if there's somebody in there for potential KCI or something like that. But let's watch the action on this block here. This is 100% a side block. And my comment is, we're 40 yards downfield. We're 45 yards downfield on this punt. And our L is almost 40 yards downfield. Our H is almost 35 yards downfield. And this is how far we can get downfield if we release at the right time and we go hard. So now he's going to pivot and he's going to turn. He's going to trail the play. Oops, sorry, I went too far there. So right now where we should be looking, he's doing a good job not officiating this, not watching the runner. We don't need to watch the runner. He's in open space. He can't foul or be fouled. So we're looking ahead at potential blocks. This one has a lower potential for a foul. This has a higher potential for a foul right there, possibly a blindside block, a hold or something like that. So really probably have our line judge and our back judge both on this block. Let's just continue to run it through. You can see patience. He stays behind the play. Play gets over, comes and squares it off, and gets in there and kills it. So very nice job officiating on that play. All right, catch, fumble, no catch. Let's talk about that. So we've got a play coming across the middle here, and we'll just run it through once. And you can see the ball's out really quick. Our philosophy, when in doubt, is it is not a catch and a fumble. We have no catch. We have an incomplete pass. So a saying that we use is when in doubt, wipe it out. So we're going to make it an incomplete pass if we have doubt of if it is a catch fumble or not. But if we go back and look in slow motion, this ball comes out immediately on the hit. It's already down and out of his hands. That ball's just out way too quick. Just make that an incomplete pass right away. Do not make it a catch and a fumble. And umpires, we do want you to pivot and help out. Okay, but really this could be any of this could be any of four officials who are coming in hard and saying, nope, this is incomplete. This is too tight to make it a catch and a fumble. Make it an incomplete pass. Talk about it after the fact if you need to as well. Because if someone comes in and says, we got to wipe that out, that's not a catch and a fumble. We don't want cheap turnovers. That's kind of another saying we have is no cheap turnovers. And if we give it to them there, we get a cheap turnover. Okay, so KCI or not, this is a good one. We've got a freeze it there and to say this is 100% a foul for KCI. Remember, you do not need contact. If he's within 1 yard in front of the return man and we have a foul, he has to be given an unimpeded opportunity to make the catch. And if it's within 1 yard, that's when that does not occur. So back judge, pretty good position. Maybe if you're a couple yards wider and maybe a yard back, you might have a little better angle. But I think he's in good enough position that he can see that this guy definitely gets inside of 1 yard. Okay, and it doesn't matter if he catches the ball or not. We should have a flag, and we would be enforcing that then from the spot of that foul. So we enforce it from the 25, 26 yard line, 15 yards forward. Okay, so again, a little better angle, a little better judgment on that, but that's definitely one that we want KCI. Okay, last play. WWE throws are not tackles. They are fouls. So anytime they pick a kid up and throw him down with force, we have a foul. All right, this is not a tackling technique that coaches do. You go to practice, you're never going to see them picking a kid up and WWE slamming him like that. Okay, that is 100% a foul. If he picks him up and kind of slings him sideways and backwards and not forcefully on the ground, that's one thing. This is one. I mean, that's how, he could throw him on his head. But even if he doesn't throw him on his head, got a good chance of a kid, getting a broken arm or something on that. So just remember, WWE is not a football tackle. We would want that flagged. All right, those are all of our plays for this week. So keep working hard. Please send in plays, coaches, and especially officials, that ones we want to look at, so we continue to find good plays to look at and put on our training tapes. Have a great week. Have good pre-games, and we'll talk to you again next week.